Once again, welcome to Todo, Vida podcast. My name is Ashley. I have my special guest today. We have Uni. She also goes by Baddie Lash on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
She's been a really good friend of mine for years. So go ahead, introduce yourself, say what's up to them.
Hi, everybody. My first time.
It can be a little bit nerve-wracking the first time, but we're going to just simply have the same conversations that we always have in the Lash room. Uni has been a really good friend of mine for, I want to say like 3 years now.
Dude, it's been like 4 years.
Yeah, because
4 years.
We met even when I was still waxing in Eastvale.
Oh my gosh, we barely started.
Yeah. Okay, so I kind of wanted to dive right in because she's someone that can seriously relate. Now, I always talk about entrepreneurship and stuff like that, but some of the things that's also been a struggle for us is being first generation, the fact that, our parents migrated to give us a better life, but there was also some struggles that kind of got us to where we are today. So first things first, did you have any examples of entrepreneurship prior to you starting your own business?
Oh, wow. Not really, honestly. I don't think there's anyone I can say. No, I didn't.
So what made you want to go ahead and take that dive? Because I'm sure like at some point early on, given the circumstances that were dealt with, given that we have, parents that migrated from another country here, we see some of the struggles. So at what age or at what point did you say, I want to take that dive into entrepreneurship because a 9-to-5 is just not going to cut it, or, it's just not enough?
I feel like there wasn't really like a set age, set time. I feel like it was more like life circumstances that kind of forced me into that, area of life, entrepreneurship. I didn't know that I was going to be, an entrepreneur. I just know I didn't like being told what to do.
Yeah.
Like that part, but also, I don't think I was, honestly, I feel like I wasn't really given a choice. I feel like life circumstances kind of pushed me towards like, you have to do that if you want to live the life that you want to live.
Right.
I feel like a regular 9-to-5 would have not given me that, the freedom more than anything.
Right.
And you can't really make much money being an immigrant working a regular 9-to-5.
Yeah, especially too because like we saw the struggle through our parents. Like prior to my dad having his business, he would tell me how he would work these jobs. And I don't know how it was back then, but I know now, like if you were to be undocumented and you try to work a regular job, you have to have I think it's a I-10.
Yeah.
You have to have like some sort of work permit. So it's not even a privilege to be able to have a job. So a lot of times people start up their own business and stuff like that. Yeah. Or in our case, we have the circumstances of just seeing our upbringings and seeing that the struggles that our parents face. And we're like, okay, we're going to take that dive into entrepreneurship, given, like you said, some of the challenges that we faced. Yeah. And do you have like an older sibling that kind of like helped take care of you guys? Or do you feel like along with entrepreneurship, you kind of had to step into that as well?
Like I said, again, life circumstances. I do have an older sibling, but he's not really in the picture like that.
Okay.
So I feel like...
And how many siblings is it after you?
We are 5 in total. I'm second oldest.
Okay.
So,
and it's also kind of different too, like when it's versus, because you said it's a brother, you have an older brother.
Yeah.
It's kind of different when it's a brother versus a sister. I don't know, maybe just because it's more personal.
Very different.
Being an older sister kind of hits a little bit more different. I feel like naturally we're more nurturing, we're more loving. So we kind of are able to take on that role a little bit more naturally, I guess you could say.
I feel like that role is kind of given to us, you know, forced upon us, but we don't know that. You know, we're forced to step up to the plate and play second mom because our parents are busy working. And it's like, que malagradecida it is if you don't help your parents.
Right.
So without you knowing, you do take on that role and you take on the role of like a third parent.
Yeah.
And it sticks with you forever. Like you don't know how to unlearn that.
Undo it. Especially in our culture, like you said, it's something that's expected.
Yes.
But one thing is to like ayudar en la casa, ayudar con los niños, like help in the house, help with the kids. But then you're like, these kids need some money too to be able to
a lot of money.
Yeah, they need a lot of money to be able to, help them develop and grow and, kind of just push them into being successful individuals. Because I mean, it is hard sometimes not having that stability or that foundation, So it's like, you don't have to go like into detail exactly what life circumstances, but like, at what point did you say, okay, entrepreneurship is the way to go for me? And what are some of the things that you struggled with, given the fact that you didn't have any examples of entrepreneurship?
I will say it all hit me when I became a single mom, and it was a struggle having to leave my son to go work. And he would cry and like, Mom, don't leave, don't leave. So I just knew that working a regular 9 to 5 wasn't for me, because I knew that money was not enough, no matter how many hours I put in. And I was working as a waitress, so I was still making extra money on my tips,
Yeah.
And I was good at what I did, but it wasn't enough for me. And I wanted to have more time to be, at home. So I was like, I knew lashes was something that was going to like become really big.
Yeah.
So I saved up all my tips and I just dived right in, and I've never looked back. And it doesn't feel, and it's been what, 5 years?
Yeah, I was about to ask you that, how long it's been.
And it doesn't feel like I'm like a job. I genuinely enjoy what I do, and I wouldn't change it, because I get to meet so many amazing people, and I learn from every single girl that's like in my lash bed. Literally, I learn through them, and they learn through me, So I truly enjoy what I do. But I will say, having my own baby made me take that route.
Yeah, step up more, like financially, getting more into that role.
Yeah,
of
course,
course,
they're expensive, girl.
I'm sure, especially being a single mom. It's like, depending on the circumstances, like maybe sometimes you can get help from the dad, but then when you are a full-time mom, it's like that all kind of falls on you. And then on top of that, you have 3 younger siblings that naturally you want to be able to provide for. So it's like you have your son, but then you also have your siblings. You know? It's a struggle, definitely, coming from parents that came from another country, because you see all the struggles, and then being first generation, not having that example. Also too, I don't know if it like happened to you, but I think something that was engraved in our heads a lot was like, go to school, go to school, go to school. And when you're an entrepreneur, for some reason, like, I don't know about you, but like, I didn't like school. I didn't like school. I didn't like school. I didn't like being told what to do. I didn't like clocking in somewhere. So when I became an entrepreneur, I was like, I want to be able to move my ship the way that I want to. And it's honestly way, way better for me. I feel like I established more structure having my own business than if I had to go work for somebody else, because I always knew that I had the capability to do what they were doing, if not more, and now we have our own businesses. And I think too that like being in entrepreneurship, it's a huge help. Not even I know it's a huge help for us to be able to provide for our families, but also to show our parents a different way. Because growing up, it was always like school. Because for them, that was their form of stability, going to school, versus us, we kind of saw it a little bit more different. We also too probably didn't have the opportunity to go to school, because we have to help at home. We have to help with our younger siblings. We don't have the financial stability to be able to commute to college every single day,
or to pay for college, even community college. We didn't have the means.
We didn't have the means to. So that kind of like, again, how you said, kind of like life like things that happen in life, where life circumstances where it kind of forced us to go a different route, but we also had no guidance.
Literally,
with that.
We did not know.
No guidance.
I know it's probably a little different for you, because you did say that your dad had his own business, like for me it was very difficult, because I feel like I was going against like the grain, because starting your own business was very frowned upon in my family,
especially beauty industry. For Hispanic parents, for some reason, the beauty industry, they don't believe in it. They think that that's not a valid source of income until they start to see like, estás haciendo pestañas, but you're making like good money. Or like it's so different. It opens up a different door for them completely, because like I said, they don't think that it's a valid source of income.
For me it was very tough, like because there was no support. I took on the lash course. And
you were how old when you started lashing?
21.
Oh, okay.
I know, I had just turned 22. I remember. I had just turned 22 when I took that course. And no matter how many times I would try to explain it to like my mom or something like that, she didn't understand it. She honestly was like, no, you are dumb for quitting your 9 to 5 and starting this.
Stability.
How
taking the chance.
Yes. She was like, no, you cannot. Like, because I feel like immigrant parents, like they're so used to work hard. It's not a work smart type of thing. They're more like, mátanos en el trabajo. But I'm like, I'm not trying to matarme en el trabajo. Like, I'm trying to make money and work less. So it's very hard to unlearn like all those what they like taught us growing up. Because I grew up watching my mom work a lot. Like a lot. And she worked for someone, and they decided what time she went in and what time she got out, you know, and she didn't really have time for us. So I was like, you know what? I feel like watching her struggle made me kind of like want to move a different route. Like, okay, you know what? I don't want to do that. I don't want to leave my kids to grow up, you know, raising themselves or missing their mom or stuff like that. I want to be with my son. And thankfully, you know, through lashing, I was able to literally be with my child 24/7. Like he already knows, you know, like my mom does lashes. And all my clients know him, and he loves when the girls are around, and he's always asking like, when is so-and-so coming? And this is that, you know, he loves it. So I feel like there's like a bad side to like being the daughter of like an immigrant, and then there's like the good side, you know, because it's like
you have to go against the grain.
You go through a lot of struggles, but also I feel like without those struggles, you wouldn't be to where you are right now.
Yeah, no, for sure.
We need those struggles in life.
Definitely. Struggle. There's a beauty in the struggle that definitely helps to make us, you know, and to form us. And I know my dad like had his own business, but my dad had, and even then I kind of taught him something a little bit different. So my dad had a towing company where there was a lot of liabilities, employees, truck payments, licenses, even like insurances, stuff like that. And then I was able to show him like, hey, while I can make the same income and have less liabilities, he was kind of surprised, like, wow, women will really come and pay.
They do.
And they do, you know?
They do.
The women will really come and pay for beauty. And I would tell them, I was like, yeah, beauty is an industry that's never going to run out because people are constantly wanting to feel better about themselves. And there's always going to be a service provider that's wanting to uplift women and make them feel more comfortable, make them feel more beautiful, essentially, you know, because that's really what we do. And we're also a huge like stress relief for them. A lot of women come into our studios and they're able to de-stress from their regular life and stuff like that. And that's where it allows us to learn from them or them learn from us. But my dad, he was honestly like kind of like against me starting at first. He's like, you're going to do what? You're going to wax what? Like, you know, he was really, really surprised by it. And then once he kind of started to see how many people were coming in and out, and he kind of started to make the calculations, I'm like, yeah, the beauty industry is a valid industry. It's one that's never going to die out. It really isn't, you know? But again, there's the pros and the cons of being first generation and being the daughter of immigrants, because they're meant to install in us, work hard, not work smarter. And their sense of stability is education, which education is a great thing to have. But if you don't have the financial stability or means to be able to go to school, pay for school, then that's going to be really hard for us to be able to do, which is why I think a lot of us tend to shift to entrepreneurship. And it's a huge test of faith too, because again, like you said, we're kind of just going against the grain completely. Being an older sister is also too it's like a big like pie of things. It's like being the older sister, wanting to nurture, provide for them. In this case, you being a single mom, stuff like that. It's like, it's a huge combination of things that really test our faith for us to go into entrepreneurship. It's not something that's easy at all. And then also too, the struggles that we watch them face, you know, constantly working hard, or I don't know like about you, but like growing up, like my dad was the only stable one, but the rest of his family, like it was really hard to ir a sacar un carro del dealership. Like it was really hard for us to go get a car out of the dealership because again, you have to have some sort of identification to be able to get the car out, or even being able to provide for a household by yourself. You know, it was usually like a bunch of people living together just to be able to pay the rent. And then you get to a point where you're like, that pushes you to have your own financial stability so that either you can provide for your child or just your future family in general. So I think it's a huge leap of faith for sure.
Very big.
And where do you see yourself in 5 years, or at least growing with your business? Because you have your purpose, you have your reason to do it. Now, what do you want to do with that?
I definitely want to expand. I probably don't see myself lashing so many girls within the next 5 years. I would definitely want to open up more of like an academy to teach, because I feel like, you know, there's things that a lot of my girls like that I do that a lot of other girls can't do, you know? So definitely that. And supplying, you know, obviously supplying, because every set is different, because quality is different. And I'm all about quality.
So. Your sets are amazing. Is it something that you kind of just put together? Like, how does that work with lash mapping? Is it just something that you put together?
It's a mixture of everything, honestly. I took a lash course with Marilyn in Monrovia. And then a year or two later, I took another course in Vegas with Poised Lux. So she's amazing. She really helped me with my mapping. I took her course, and a mixture of her mapping with like basically like my own imagination. I mixed both and I just winged it because I don't map my sets. I don't map them.
No, you don't.
Freehand
That's
them.
what, yeah, you totally freehand your sets. That's what I noticed.
They're in my head. Like, you know,
awesome.
they're just in my head. So I know like the sizes that will fit certain eyes and what a certain person would look better with this or with what curl and how full, how light. So definitely a mixture. But I will say taking that second course was really what helped me. What really put me like on the map. Like, okay, her sets are different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it shows. How long would you say that it took you to perfect or like really feel confident in your work? Because a lot of people, like I've said before in prior episodes to my podcast, a lot of people are scared to start their own business because they're worried that I don't want to be another lash tech or stuff like that, you know? But when you start any business, you have to be a beginner at something and then eventually evolve. But people get really scared to even put in a year's worth of work and not see much in return, or 2 years worth of work and barely kind of start to see it and start to feel comfortable. Granted, you get what you put into it. You get out what you put into it. So if you're going hard every single day, then eventually you're going to, you know, begin to perfect your craft even more. But how long did it take for you?
I think it took me a year. I was getting really frustrated because I felt like no matter how many times I would try to recreate a set, it just wasn't coming out that way. And it wasn't coming out that way. And, you know, during COVID, you know, when everything shut down, it kind of forced me to like really dive in and dive deep. And I was like, you know what? Like, yo me aferré. Like, if she can do it, I could do it. So I'm going to get it done. So I remember specifically what like really did it for me was ordering supplies from a specific lash tech. Her name was Cami. Her name is Cami. And getting her product changed the game for me. That's when I realized like, wow, product really makes a difference.
Yeah.
Ordering her product in one day, within a couple hours, I learned how to pinch, something I wasn't taught, you know?
Okay.
So that changed how my sets look. Now I can give you really full and fluffy sets because it took me 2-3 hours just to be messing with her lashes.
And essentially that's technique and product knowledge coming together to be able to create an amazing set and to give the client exactly what they want.
You have to have like your perfect balance of everything. You have to have good lighting, good adhesive, good tweezers, good lashes. If one of those things is off, the set's not going to come out. Yeah. So it took me, a year to find that. But it was very scary because, you know, her product was way more pricey than what I was accustomed to. Yeah. But I was like, well, whatever, let's do it. You know, I have to keep investing because that's something that I think a lot of girls don't understand. You have to keep investing into your product and into your craft to be able to create your sets that you want, right?
Most definitely.
So I ended up, ordering off of her. And I was like, okay, her product is amazing. That's why it's priced the way it's priced. So I was like, you know what? I'm never going to order off of Amazon. Don't order on Amazon. No shade, but no. And I'm pretty sure it's gotten better now within the years. Yeah. But at that time, no, it was really like really bad quality. So trying her products and then I just sat myself down literally midnight, in the middle of the night. I'm like, de que voy a aprender, you know? Because I'm like, ain't no way someone out there can do it and I can't.
And that was a combination of your hustle, you being determined to, you know, make your sets more of quality, but also too, because you had a foundation, and the foundation was to be able to not only give your son a better life, but to also be able to kind of essentially change generational, I don't want to say like curses, but like, I don't want to say curses. What's the word? Like, you know, when we're so accustomed to things a certain way, you know what I'm saying? And then we get to a point where we want to elevate. We want to change what we're used to. You know, for example, maybe prior they were used to working 9 to 5s or they were used to, like you said, matándose. And then we're like, okay, I want to continue to elevate. So in order for me to elevate, I have to get better product. I have to elevate my product. I have to darle duro. I have to continue to put in that work, because that's essentially what's going to allow me to change up what I've been raised with or what I've been accustomed to, you know?
Yeah.
Which I think is also a huge blessing, but it comes from within. It's not something that hustle is not something that can be taught. It comes from within, and you being able to evaluate like, okay, I need better product. I need to invest more. Maybe it's not the price range I'm accustomed to, but it's okay. That's going to elevate my quality of work as well.
Yeah. I just could not get it through my head. Like, how is it that this girl can make this amazing lash set and I can't? Like, how does it picture so beautifully and I can't? So I tested a couple things, you know, with her product and with different product, the same like style. And I could tell it doesn't picture the same, you know, because some lashes have different like undertone and they look gray on camera. Yeah. Or this or that. Some are too shiny, some are too, you know, too dull. So I was like, no. So I feel like with trial and error, I definitely got my own thing and my own style, you know, and a lot of the girls that I get, they come to me and they're like, you know, it's because your lashes are so light and they're so fluffy and they don't look fake. So I'm like, I love that. Yeah,
that's what I remember the first time I got my lashes done with you. I remember you had hit me up and you're like, hey, let me try out a set on you, which is also too like you kind of, I don't want to say necessarily got out of your comfort zone, but like you hit me up and you were like, hey, let me try to do this set on you. I promise you're going to like it, you know, which most people would be like, oh, a free set, I'll never do that. Like you got to be paying, you know, which of course I understand. Yeah. But you thought outside the box. You hit me up and you're like, hey, come try out these lashes. And I was like, all right, this was like 3 years ago.
And I think that was after I had gone to you for a wax, huh?
Yeah. I actually have talked about it on my podcast, like how I came across you. I came across your cousin. Yeah. I seen her lashes and I'd be like, dude, you have really good lashes. And she's like, yeah, my cousin does them. And I would be like, oh no, I can't get lashes done. They feel way too heavy. They look too shiny. I don't really like that. It's not for me, you know? And then one day a girl comes into my studio and she has 2 phones on her. And I'm like, what do you do? Yeah. I was like, dude, she gotta be a drug dealer. Like, you know, that's what everybody thinks, you know, especially when you pull out the 2 phones. So I was like, what do you do? You're like, I'm a lash artist. Very, very humble though. Very, very quiet with your talent. You were just like, oh, I'm a lash artist. And I was like, okay. Started following you. And I was like, that's the girl that does, you know, so-and-so's lashes. Then you hit me up. You're like, let me try to do a set on you. And I was kind of skeptical at first. But then after I got my lashes done with you, I was like, whoa, this is literally a game changer. Once you start to get lashes, you kind of get addicted to it. Not even kind of like.
Hey, have you cheated?
Dude, I have
you cheated?
Not. I have
you see,
not
she's
cheated
loyal.
since.
She's loyal.
I have not cheated since, bro.
Hey, they cheat, but they always come back.
They do.
They always do.
And honestly, too, it's because, you know, when you have that hustle that's rooted so deeply from all the things that we've just talked about on this podcast, it really does elevate your quality of work. It elevates your experience, the experience that you provide your customers as well. You know, so I think that is something that just kind of naturally sets you aside because your purpose and your reason is rooted so deeply. Like that hustle literally comes from within. Now, we talked a little bit on this podcast about you starting up, the reason why you started up, how you had to start investing. But I want you to kind of tell people how sometimes too, even there's a blessing in the redirection, because you were in Paris, you went out to Orange County, and then now it's like
Ontario.
Now you came back into it. I mean, you never stopped essentially, but tell us about that, how sometimes there is a blessing in the redirection, and kind of just like how, you know, at one point, it was like, okay, I want to go ahead and expand. I want to, you know, which was a good thing that you were thinking outside the box. You were thinking bigger than life. But then it's like, you kind of had to, I don't want to say go back to square root 1, but you had to like, how can I say, like, you had to be re-inspired, remotivated.
Yeah, very re-inspired.
Like, very re-inspired. Because even as a beauty service provider, sometimes
we get burnt out.
We get burnt out.
We get really burnt out.
Yeah, our creative ambition, it gets burnt out sometimes. Yeah. So kind of tell us about that, because people always think that starting a business is just going to be uphill. Uphill.
Never.
And it's not like that. So kind of just tell us about like sometimes the blessings and the redirection, you know?
Yeah, it was very hard starting out. I remember I had to beg my cousin, actually. I had to beg her, can I lash you? Can I lash you? And she finally, you know, gave in, and she's been addicted for the past, 4 years?
Yeah.
So, yeah. But definitely it's a struggle in the beginning. there's highs and lows, just like everything in life, you know. Sometimes there's so much business that you don't even know what to do. And you have to take advantage of those, you know, seasons where you're like busy back to back. And then you also have to learn how to ride the wave when things get slow. And like you said, the blessing and the redirection. So when things got a little slow, I focused my energy and my mind and my time to starting my own brand. So it took me, you know, a whole year, but I feel like if things wouldn't have gone a little slower, I would have never been able to do that. Because that was so time consuming, so stressful. But I feel like because things got slow, I was able to figure that out, you know?
Definitely.
And then things started to pick back up again. And now it's like, it's just a balance. It always has to be like that.
And you get to see too how like, because in the moment where we're booked and busy, we're just so focused on servicing clients. We don't really think too much about expanding our business because we're so busy. We're so busy. We're so focused in the now. But then when you have, you know, kind of that slow season, because I remember at one point it was like that for me too. And we would talk on the phone about it like, hey, has it slowed? Yeah, like, has it slowed down for you too? Yes, dude, it slowed down for me as well. When I moved out to Redlands, it slowed down a lot for me. And
it's always like that when you change locations. It's like starting all over again. You build your new clientele, you know?
And it was so scary for me because we're so used to making a certain amount of money.
So it's like taking a pay cut.
It's like taking a huge pay cut. And, you know, once you start to make a certain amount of money, your bills start to become a certain amount and you can't afford to take that pay cut. Eventually, though, you see how like God works out everything to the last dollar.
Literally.
And then when you look back and things start to pick up again, you're like, oh my gosh, if it would have never gone that slow, I would have never been able to redirect my focus onto this or just continue to elevate your business in different aspects, you know? So I think too that's huge. People need to understand that. Even us, like, you do amazing lashes. Dude, you're like everywhere.
Dude,
like,
your waxes are amazing.
But you know, it's crazy though, because people think that even though we perform quality services, that every single day is going to be booked and busy. And I don't know about you, but like I've noticed when there's times I have gaps, I'm like, okay, good. I actually ended up needing to do this because if I would have been so focused on just the clientele, I don't think I would have been able to have that ability to expand my business and kind of, you know, elevate in other sectors of my business as well. I would have just been so present with clients that I wouldn't have had that opportunity.
Does it ever happen to you where like you're so booked and busy that when you do have an off day, you don't even know what to do with your day because you're so used to being like work. So like you tell yourself, okay, I'm going to be off this day. I'm going to take advantage. But all you're going to do is just lay in bed.
You know what? It's crazy because I don't know, like, I don't want to correlate it to that, but it's so true. So like, for example, it's not normalized in our culture to take a break. It's not normalized in our culture to have a rest day. It's like, if you're not doing something around the house, if you're not being productive, you're lazy, you're ungrateful, you know? So I always found productivity to be my sense of like validation. Like, okay, like if I'm being productive, then I'm doing something right. To the point though that I would continue to burn myself out. And then I'm like, oh, it feels weird the day that I actually get a day of rest. I'm like, what do I do?
Like
with
you don't
my
deserve
time?
it.
Like
a day of leisure is like, what? I'm lazy. Like ando valiendo, you know, beep.
Seriously. And I think it's because that's how we're like kind of raised in our culture to think that, you know, like le tienes que dar duro every single day. And it's like, yes, but also too, like I've said in previous episodes, like sometimes rest is just you putting fuel in your tank so you can continue to go. Because as an entrepreneur, if your mind is not right, you cannot perform as you should or as you would want to, because your mind is so overwhelmed, consumed with other things, that if you don't take that time to rest, and again, just because how we were raised to think, it's really kind of going to go downhill.
Not only that, you hit something that kind of like circles back to your last episode. Being an entrepreneur, having to work through grief. Like that is very difficult, you know, because we don't have days off, you know, and we can't take days off. And I feel like sometimes we work through hard times in our life because it helps us, like, it keeps our mind busy. You know,
for sure.
So it's like, I remember, you know, my situation, I was like, oh, I'm going to take as many clients as I can just so I won't have to think about it. Because regardless, you know, bills still need to get paid. Things still need to get done. Your clients still need to be seen. So it's like, you have so many things that you have to do. And like, you feel like, okay, if I take a day off, like I don't deserve it. I don't.
You feel like weird. You can't afford it.
If I'm not productive, I feel like, what am I doing? Like, I'm just taking up space. Like, I need to do something.
Which is really bad, because then the moment that everything is still, our mind is so used to being on go, go, go. I need to make sure I have more product. How many clients do I need to get in? So-and-so needs to squeeze in, da-da-da. That the moment that your mind's kind of still, you don't even know what to do with yourself.
You don't.
You feel like you have no sense of like validation, because you're like, well, I'm not busy making money, and I'm not cleaning the house, and I'm not doing this. I'm resting, but you feel like, well, what is that doing?
Yeah.
It's not doing anything productive. It's like, we do need to take a break. Yeah. We do need to rest, you know? And again, and that just kind of comes from my upbringing, how you said, like, we don't have days off. We don't have sick pay. And I think too, when you're used to, like, when, you know, at one point when I was younger, like, we were broke, you know, and I saw that it was harder for us to have those opportunities because, you know, given, you know, my dad's like status and all that stuff, you know, it was hard for him to be able to, after he sold his business, it was hard for him to go and get a regular job. You know, he was so used to being an entrepreneur, because that was the only option that he really had. Because, you know, he wasn't going to ask himself for an I-10. He wasn't going to, you know, do all this stuff. So it's like, it was easier for him to work for himself. That at one point when we were like down and out and we were broke, I remember thinking to myself at a very young age, like, I never want to live these seasons when I get older. So now we kind of get accustomed to, like, you know what? Uno nunca sabe para mañana. So if I could take 9 clients, 10 clients today, I'm going to do it. Yeah. And the next thing you know, your quality of work starts to
go down.
No, it starts to, like, obviously with getting a lot of clients, you start to perfect your craft.
Oh yeah.
You start to get burnt down. So technically, like, your quality of customer service can not necessarily go down, but they see a difference. Like, you're more burnt out, stuff like that. But we do that because we think, like, pues uno nunca sabe. Nunca sabe. We have to take as many clients as we can today because we don't know what it's going to look like tomorrow. And then next thing you know, you're going like that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And it's like, when is your rest day? Because we're not used to that either. Because we're so used to thinking, like, pues uno nunca sabe. We might, you know, this might run out, or, you know, there's always that fear in the back of my head. Like, what if I don't get that next week? What if I don't make my numbers? And once we start to reach a certain number, our bills become that. And I have to uphold that, you know, but it's just because of, again, like, I don't know, the culture, how I was raised, the hard times que pasamos, life circumstances. It's like, you feel like you have to continuously keep working, keep working.
Also, I feel like because we didn't grow up seeing our parents take a day off. You know, so it's like what we see is what we try to mirror, like, work-wise, you know. I don't remember seeing my mom take a day off. I don't remember seeing my mom enjoy her days off. You know, her days off were just, it was just go, 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 go. So sometimes I'm like, if she can do it, I can do it, you know? Yeah. Because it was just like, she could do it with 5 kids, you know, and I'm over here complaining with 1 child. Yeah. So sometimes it's like, yo por qué me estoy quejando if I have a better paying job than she did? Yeah. You know, and I'm like, how did she, like, how is the question? Like, how did you do it? How did you do it? Working a regular 9 to 5, being an immigrant, getting paid minimum wage. There's no such thing as a raise. There's no such thing as paid time off. There's no such thing as sick days, you know? You get paid for the days that you work, and they expect you to work your ass off for minimum. I think I remember at that time she was probably making like $7 an hour. Yeah. I don't know how she did it. So it's like, that's also, it's like fuel to the fire, you know, that makes you want to get up and work your ass off because you want to be that person that you didn't have to looking up to anybody. So it's like now you're in a position where you have siblings or you have, you know, nieces and nephews that can look up to you. So you want to be that person that they can look up to. Yeah. And they can come to when they have questions about, you know, entrepreneurship and how do you did it and all those things. So it's like, we took the punches, you know, so they can, hopefully they'll learn from us.
Because we changed, like essentially what our upbringing has been. You know, like you said, you were so used to your mom working a 9 to 5, continuously keep going, that even then she still made it enough. But we were blessed enough to have stability, not luxury. Yeah. We were blessed enough if we had stability, not necessarily luxury. Now we're to a point where we're like, okay, we're going to work this hard. I also want to have something nice. You know, I think you deserve to have a little something nice too, you know? So that, I think, something that you said too is like, she was working a regular 9 to 5. And I know that when you say like regular, it's not in a bad way. It's like, it's a job where you go, clock in, clock out, and it's a routine, right?
It was like an entry level 9 to 5, you know, a restaurant business.
Yeah.
That's usually what everybody, you know, with status works straight out of high school. Yeah. It's not meant for you to like survive off of that, you know? Yeah. Like, it's not, you know, especially like a single mom with 5 kids. It's hard. So that's why it sticks to me. Like, how, you know? And like I said, life circumstances push me in a different direction, but I feel very blessed to be in a position where I can be the person that they can use as an excuse. My family can use as an excuse. Like, oh, look, the odds were stacked against her, but she still did it, you know?
Oh, for sure.
Single mom, you know? And at that, I was so young too. I was 17 when I became a mom. So it's like teen mom, you know, daughter of an immigrant. Yeah. And she still, you know, she found a way. You make your way. It's just, I feel like it's in our blood. I don't know.
It's something that can't be taught.
Yeah.
Nobody grabbed you by the hand and said, you need to do it like this. No. Take this route. I think it takes struggle, like you said, life circumstances, for you to realize, like, I need to do better because I want better. A lot of times people just kind of allow the excuses or the odds that are stacked against them to just kind of take them out. And it's like, okay, well, I have all these odds stacked against me. How am I going to go ahead and do it? But I think something that's misinterpreted too with entrepreneurship, because you were like, well, how did my mom do it with 5 kids? And then I'm over here complaining with 1. The only thing that I will say is a little bit different from a job where you clock in. It's still hard work. No doubt. No doubt. You still go in, you clock in, and then you clock out. I think the only difference with entrepreneurship is you never clock out.
You never clock out.
You never clock out.
Yeah.
When you clock into a job, that place could burn down and you don't even got to worry about it. You know, yes, you're like, okay, hopefully I still got a job afterwards, you know, but you essentially don't have to worry about that. Are the clients going to come? You know, is the rent being paid? And this and that. But when you're an entrepreneur, you're worried about, like, do I have enough clients for the week? Who needs to squeeze in? Am I posting enough content?
Do I have product?
Do I have product? Like, it's so much, we never get to clock out.
Yeah, there's
so
no
I think that, out. You know, like, that's where I would say, like, give yourself a little bit more credit right there, because it's like, it's a job you never clock out from, and there's no set schedule. Like, okay, well, you know, you entras a las 9, you go in at 9 and you get out at 5. Bro, we'll be working 8 to 10, 8 to 11. I seen you, like, one time you lashed me for like at almost midnight. Like,
dude, I've lashed girls at 3 a.m. before their trips. Like, the house calls, like, hey, you lash me at 3. I got you. I'll wake up. Like, I'll be at your house. What time do you need me?
I had a class one time, and I remember I was like, I'm so busy organizing everything for this class. I need my lashes done. You're like what time? And I was like 11:30.
Pull up.
And literally,
I think it was 1 o'clock.
Yeah,
I think it was 1.
By the time we were, by the time I got there, because I think I ran late, and like 10-minute grace policy went out the window right there. But I remember I pulled up super, super late, and you still lashed me. And I'm sure the next day,
I wake up at 6 a.m.
6 a.m. You still had a roster of clients again. Yeah. And that goes back to, like, wanting to take advantage every single time that there's an opportunity for money, because we know what it's like to be without.
Not being able to say no.
Not being able to say no.
And that's where the 2 phones come in, you know, because I'm like, that's what me mentally, it helps me, like, separate the 2.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't want y'all reaching me on my personal phone when I want, because I know I'm going to answer. I know I'm going to check my schedule, and I know I'm going to wiggle you in. And I'm like, no, sometimes
I'm going to find a way. Like, I'll stretch myself thin if that means you going to be good. And I know that there's a little bit extra more in my pocket, you know? And it's really, really hard to say no. I think because, like, again, growing up, there was so many no's. There was so many times where we didn't have the opportunities that we have now. And I'm not saying money is everything, but money definitely allows you. It helps. It helps. It gives a peace of mind. It allows you to have the freedom that maybe growing up we didn't have, you know, or the opportunities that we didn't have.
Or being able to experience things that we never had, you know, like growing up, you know, I didn't know what a restaurant was. I only knew what McDonald's and like Jack in the Box.
Fine dining. You didn't know about
I didn't
fine
know.
dining.
I thought Olive Garden was like the top of the top. I swear to you. And I'm like, now I'm here with my child, and I'm like, pa donde no va, you know? He's tried everything. Yeah. So I'm just,
and
like,
I think that's awesome too, that you're giving him those experiences that you didn't have growing up. You know, my biggest fear is, like, Well, you're a mom, so you already know how to like establish that. But I think my biggest fear is like we had to break those chains, right? And then here we are, we do a complete 180 and we give our children a different life. I don't have kids yet, right? But essentially that's the goal, is to be able to give them a different life than what I had. How do you, as a mom, kind of keep them grounded towards like, look, this is what I came from. This is what I have to do. Okay, they're never going to know it 100%, right? But it's like, this is what I came from. This is what I had to do to give you a better life. Now run with that.
Yeah.
So it's like, how do you, I don't know, how do you like keep them grounded, you know?
Oh, he knows. You know, he knows a lot of the struggles, not through me, but I feel like he hears it a lot, like from the family. They'll talk about it, and then he will literally be in shock. Like, I can't believe this happened. I can't believe your mom this. I can't believe your mom can't go to Mexico. Like, oh my gosh, you can't? Like, it's like so foreign to him.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, yeah, papi, like there's a lot of people out there that, you know, they don't have the things that you have. And you're so blessed to even be born here, you know, that you're allowed to leave and come back. And it's okay. There's people that, you know, they can't work a regular job because they won't get hired and stuff like that. And it's different to him, but he's 9 right now. And he's starting to be more aware of those things. Yeah. So like he's aware of everything. So sometimes he knows what Border Patrol is. Like I'm like, not my kid. But
sometimes parents want to shelter kids from things. Yeah. But I think that there is also a beauty in them not necessarily seeing the struggle, but at least knowing of them, being educated on them, you know? Growing up, like I would tell my dad, because we went to Guatemala a few times when I was younger, and I'd be like, Dad, are you going to come with us? And he'd be like, no, I can't go with you guys. And I'd be like, why? And he'd be like, tengo que trabajar. I have to work.
He never told you like...
No, he never told me. You know what? I did not know of my dad's immigration status until ICE came for him. And
that's crazy.
Yeah, I did not know. I didn't know the difference between citizenship, residency, deportation. Like I didn't know about any of that because I had always seen my dad had his own business. So
you assumed.
Yeah, I just assumed like, oh, okay, like everybody could do this, you know? And then when my dad sold his company, that's when times hit a lot harder because that's when the reality of the struggles of being undocumented really kicked in. Yeah. He couldn't go get a regular job. He couldn't just get hired anywhere, right? And so then, so when that happened, I was like, whoa, I did not know. I just seen guys in like black jackets walk in with ICE that, you know, is on the back of the jacket. And I'm like, what? Like, why are they here? Like, I literally was in shock. Like, why are they here?
But did you know that it was immigration?
No, I had no idea. They came straight to the house for my dad. They literally, it was right before school. I was getting ready. They literally knocked on the door. My dad opened. We had like one of those screen doors, like the metal screen doors. So my dad couldn't see who it was. Oh, wow. So my dad opened the door. Boom, there they were in black jackets with ICE on the back. It was like a month and a half before my 8th grade promotion. And I remember that when ICE came, I didn't know why they were there. They were nice enough to even let him put on his chanclas, and they took him from Menifee all the way to Lancaster, and he fought a deportation case for a month. Luckily, because my dad had entered into entrepreneurship, they were literally able to read his his entire profile and be like, wait, he's been paying taxes since such and such time. And also too, being his own boss, being his own, you know, like the own owner, he was able to make a lot of charitable contributions to like LA's Children's Hospital, stuff like that. So he was able to fight his deportation case and he won. Wow. And he was able to stay. But even growing up, he would tell me about his struggles in Guatemala and like how hard it was and stuff like that. And in my head, when you're a little kid, you're like, back when the dinosaurs existed, you know?
They had to walk 3 mountains to go to school.
Yeah. And I'd be like, that's not me. They probably didn't even have cars back then. It's like, no, girl, they had cars. We just couldn't afford one, you know? And yeah, dude. And then it took my dad, like seeing the struggles through him for me to really learn. And I think had I never seen those struggles, I don't think I would have made the changes that I made. Because, you know, growing up when I was younger, since I could remember, my dad had his own business. Yeah. When he sold it, things went completely left for us.
How was it for you when your dad was fighting that deportation case for a whole month? What was going on through your head?
Oh, dude, I was terrified. because one, I was like, my dad has never left me behind. Never left me behind. And it feels really, really bad to see someone that you look at like a superhero be in such a vulnerable position.
Especially a dad,
you know, where he's meant to be the provider and he's literally ripped away from his family. But also too, something that really helped his deportation case was the values that he had always installed in me, which is like, don't do things you're not going to be proud of. So some of the things that helped him fight that deportation case is one, he was never on back pay with child support. Never.
And they had him on child support.
My dad was one that he never got put on child support. He would always just give, you know, just give out of pocket, you know. He had never been in a domestic violence situation. He had never been in a DUI, nothing like that. So
no criminal record,
nothing. So I remember when we went, I remember there was only allowed 14 of us in the courtroom. We went all the way to Lancaster. I remember that day before he was going to get like his sentencing, I guess you could say. There was only 14 of us allowed. There was 13 of us that went. And when we went, the judge literally looked at his record, which was all clean. You know, because of him owning his own business, he had made contributions, like I said, LA Children's Hospital, stuff like that. And the judge was like, you're wasting my time. This is like literally a modeled citizen.
Yeah.
And you're wasting my time. I need him out of here by tomorrow.
Yeah, there's another thing that a lot of people don't know either, is that, you know, when you are an immigrant, you have to have like a spotless record.
Spotless.
You cannot have a DUI. You have to be better than a better person, you know, citizen than like anybody else.
And it's crazy because there's so many people that are from the US that have the opportunity to do better, to be better, and literally they just choose not to.
Yeah.
Because I think it's handed to them that they don't even know what to do with it. If me, for example, and I'm from here, I could go ahead and I can get 3 DUIs. Nothing's going to happen to me. Yeah, I'll get some classes and, you know, like obviously with the risk that people run, putting other people's life in danger. But outside of that, you can get some jail time. That's about it. But you still get to stay in America. With someone that's undocumented, you get 1 DUI. You make one mistake. You make one mistake.
You're deported.
And that's it. So it's crazy to me when people say like they're not deserving to be here. It's like, really? Because they do more with the little opportunity that they're given. They do way more.
Yeah.
So that's crazy to me.
Yeah, not even tickets. Nothing. They have to have a squeaky clean record. Squeaky clean. No debt. No nothing. Debt. Yeah.
I think it's a struggle that a lot of people don't understand, especially when they're born here, which again, they can't understand something that they don't know. But I think people really need to think twice before they underestimate undocumented individuals. I think they need to give them more respect because they do have to do better than a person that's born here, you know? And also too, being first generation, all the things that you have to fight through to kind of rewrite the generations after you, you know? How you have to do things differently, show them a different way. And thankfully, that's something that I talk about a lot on my podcast is entrepreneurship. No shade or, you know, anything to the people that have careers and went to school. Mm-hmm. Maybe some people were able to triumph through the struggles of not having that financial stability to be able to go to school. But it's hard, even just to be able to go to school, you know? If you don't have a good foundation, which I'm sure people still work 2 jobs and this and that. But if you ask them how that was, I'm sure they would say it was hell because they had to fight through all of that, you know? And some people, they won't even take that leap of faith. They won't even do that, start their own business, go to school, and they have those opportunities. When they're just given to them, they don't take advantage of them for some reason.
Yeah. And it's also very, I guess you could say heartwarming to see some of your family members take on, you know, entrepreneurship because they see you do it. Mm-hmm. So that kind of, it's very, it feels very nice to see, you know, younger generations, especially like for me, speaking of myself, I'm seeing my little brother who's 15. He's starting to
start doing barbering, right?
Yeah, he's barbering, you know? And I'm like, I'm so proud, you know, because I see him as my kid. And I'm just like, wow, is it because he's seen me, you know,
1000%,
you know, do that? Or what's making him think outside the box? Because I know he's not great in school, you know?
Yeah.
And
I feel like generally entrepreneurs, I feel like we're not really that great in school for some reason.
Actually, I was really good in school.
You were?
Yeah, I graduated junior year.
I'm not gonna be shocked. That's
Yeah.
no, not like that, not like that. But
Dude, I was really good in school. I had really good grades. Like, I was
even through all the hardship at home.
I know. I don't know how.
Oh, you're better than me.
School was just so easy for me. Like, it was just like logical. Like, okay, duh, this is the answer. Like, who would not think this is the answer? Like, what? You know? Especially with esthetician school too. I was like, oh my God, I'm so bored. Yeah. I honestly thought for a second, like, do I have like some type of like ADHD or something? Because I cannot sit still through like those 4 hours of teaching. Because I'm like, I know this.
Dude, I hated school.
Yeah. As an adult, yes, I hate school.
I did not like school.
Yeah.
Because my thought process was like, how can I focus on this when I have so much to worry about outside of this? Or the time that I'm in school, I literally only went to esthetician school because I'm like, this is what's going to help me get my license and further my business. Mm-hmm. But other than that, I was like, I could be making money. From a very young age, I was like, I could be making money. I didn't know how I was going to make money, but I was like, I would rather be doing that. I could have been good in school, but my main thought was always like, how can I make money instead?
So this is crazy, but ever since I was 10, 11, I'd say tops. I have my 2 younger siblings, right? They were 1 and like a newborn. And it was like, okay, here, you come home after school, you take care of these kids by yourself. Like, so it's like from one day to another, you're forced to become an adult. So, and even if I was taking care of those kids, I was not allowed to have bad grades because I would get my ass beat. And I was not trying to get that, you know?
Yeah.
So I had my responsibilities at home, but I feel like school was a form of me like to de-stress.
Wow.
So that like me going to school was like, I loved going to school because I was like, I don't have to take care of kids, you know?
Wow.
And so I have to go to school. So I genuinely enjoyed my time in school. You know, I was so sad that I couldn't join a sport. I was so sad that I couldn't do certain things because a las 3:30 la casa, because you have to take care of your siblings, you know, because I have to go to work. So that's another thing, you know, being first generation and being the oldest daughter, having to take care of the kids, you know, all the time. So I could not afford to have bad grades. Also in middle school, when I was already 12, 13, I would think I was already 12. I went to a distinguished school in San Bernardino. And I was not allowed to have 3 Fs. I would get kicked out.
Not me telling my dad that F meant fantastic. I literally told him that. Pobrecito. Yeah, pobrecito, dude. I was not the best in school. He did. He did believe it until the teacher was like, no, that means failing.
That means F.
Yeah. Wow, but I could definitely see how that was a way for you to be able to de-stress from your home life.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I would have never thought of it like that.
That was like an outlet for me, like being in school. And maybe because I feel like I wanted to excel in school. To get away from home. Honestly, it was. So school was like my form of being a kid. And going into my studies and having to go home and still do homework, it was difficult. So I would try to do it like on the bus. Because I knew getting home, I wasn't going to be able to do homework with kids crying around and screaming and stuff like that. Yeah. So I remember specifically a teacher that I had. And I didn't want, like, as an immigrant, like, you can't tell your teachers, you know, your struggles at home because you're scared.
Oh, yeah.
Because your parents tell you, like, te callas la boca. You know, you don't tell nobody nothing.
Yeah.
So I remember specifically one time, my teacher kind of noticed, like, my grades were going down a little bit. And I was just like, I'm basically a mom to 2 kids, you know, like, that's what it is, you know? Yeah. And he literally told me, like, well, lock yourself in the bathroom and do homework. I'm like, dude, for real?
It's not that easy, bro. It's
Dang,
not that
you know,
easy.
It's not easy, you know? Wow. And I was like, well, whatever, you know, I have to get this done. And he was an amazing teacher. So yeah, I was like, okay, I'm going to do it on the way home.
Anybody that hears these struggles, they would just kind of, they would just kind of like, oh, that's so sad. That's so sad. But that truly developed us into not only the women that we are now, but the leadership qualities that we have, just overall, the quality of women that we are now. I think those struggles definitely formed the foundation for us, but it also was something within us that wanted better, that wanted to do better, you know? And I think that this episode is absolutely beautiful because we get to show people how, like, look, through struggle, you have to triumph in order to want better. No one's going to come save you.
Nobody.
And if the life that you want is not something that you're living right now, change it. But it's going to start with you, you know? So even from the struggle, there's a beauty in it. Even from everything that we've been through, thank you for sharing everything that you've been through, you know, because it's not the ideal situation growing up.
Yeah.
But we've been able to really see the cup half full and convert it into a different life for us now, you know? So I think that that's a huge blessing. Thank you for overall just sharing your story. Last little piece of, you know, information I want you to give to people is, what advice would you give to someone that maybe doesn't have the ideal cards dealt to them? You know, maybe they're trying to struggle through status, you know, their citizenship, stuff like that, wanting to start entrepreneurship. Like, what's your overall advice for people that have to go through those struggles?
I would definitely say surround yourself with people you want to be like. Emphasis on always seeing the cup half full all the time in life in general, you know? If you're not where you want to be, I would say change your inner circle. You know, hang out with people that you look up to, that will give you advice, that will motivate you, that will help you. Yeah. Because advice can go a long way. You know? Also read. Honestly, I feel like a lot of us are stuck somewhere because of our ignorance. You know, because we don't know better. Yeah. We don't know better. And if there's something that, you know, you need help on and stuff like that, we have the internet to our fingertips where we can literally find out everything and anything. So there is no excuse for us to still live, you know, the life that we grew up with. Yeah. You know, thankfully we're in America and we have so many opportunities. You know, it's just having to, if someone says no, you go to the other door until someone tells you yes. You don't take no for an answer. And you have to just stick to it and stick through it and just ride the wave. You literally have to just ride the wave.
And what would you tell people that are from here, have the opportunities that many don't, and don't take advantage of it?
Don't take it. That's what we're taking them. I'm kidding.
Preach. No, period.
No, really.
Period. Literally, though.
I feel like
there's always going to be someone that's willing to outwork you, you know? And if that ends up being us because we came from struggles, and so be it. Yeah. That's awesome.
We'll take them. We'll take the jobs.
Yeah, gladly. Some money in my wallet never hurt, you know? Yeah. But once again, thank you so much. Please go ahead and share your social media platform so they can follow you. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Thank you, guys. My handle is @BaddieLash, BADILASH _ on Instagram and on TikTok.
Yes. Thank you guys so much for tuning in again. I hope you guys took something from this episode, as we try to go ahead and have you take from every other episode as well. We try to speak with intention from the heart, and these are just real life circumstances, stories that, you know, we've lived. And once again, thank you for tuning in. My name's Ashley. You can follow me. Personal page is _Ashley Scarlett. We also have Todo, Vida podcast. Make sure you guys go ahead and follow it. And then my business page, Self Care by Ash LLC. Once again, thank you guys so much. We'll see you guys next time.
Good night.